President Zelensky, dear Volodymyr, Madam First Lady, dear Olena, fellow leaders, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is an unspeakable honor to be back in Kyiv on this very special day of Ukrainian statehood. And President Zelensky, dear Volodymyr, I want to thank you personally for the great privilege you are bestowing on me with this first ever Order of Europe. And there is nowhere else in the world I would rather be for this occasion than here in St. Michael's Square. Because this square is the living testament to this great nation and its unbreakable spirit. From the Golden Dome of the monastery behind me to the monument of Princess Olga, it symbolizes Ukraine's iconic and central place in Europe's culture and history. From the memorial to the victims of Holodomor, to the wall of remembrance for the fallen, it speaks to Ukraine's struggle and sacrifice, its eternal fight for freedom and liberty. This yearning for freedom runs deep in the history and in the very soul of Ukraine. We see it every single day. And it is this same fire that has always burned bright in Europeans right across our continent and right across generations. The tragic, complex, and even miraculous histories of European nations fighting for freedom are woven together. This patchwork is the fabric of our continent and of our European Union. And Ukraine is an integral part of that story. In that sense, in fact, in every sense, Ukraine is Europe and Europe is Ukraine. Dear friends, today Ukraine's fight is not only a fight for your own freedom, it is an existential fight for Europe's freedom, values, for its self-determination, for its moral and geographical independence. And this is why, since the start of Russia's war of aggression, I promised you that Europe would be at your side. And I promised you that I would be here as often as possible to show that solidarity in person. We have come a long way since then. This is now my 11th visit since the start of the invasion, and there are countless moments from those trips that I will never forget as long as I live. I think almost every day to the harrowing visit to Bucha, seeing the scale of evil and barbarity unleashed on Ukraine. I think of the weight of history we felt in the Antonov airport in Hostomel, where a handful of Ukrainian heroes saved an entire nation, perhaps even an entire continent. I think also of the emotions of Europe Day in front of St. Sophia's Cathedral. I think of the very first visit of the entire College of Commissioners to Kyiv. But there's one image that is burnt in my memory, even if I did not see it with my own eyes. And it is from a small village in the Kharkiv region, named after the great Ukrainian philosopher Eheri Skovoroda. His writings have a deep legacy. They show us that the true meaning of our existence is our spirit, our heart, and our liberty of thought. Over the century, they have taught us that a nation's spirit and inner freedom can survive even the greatest oppression and suppression. And exactly 300 years after his birth, on a fateful morning in May 2022, he showed that to us one more time. Because throughout the previous night, Russia cowardly and callously targeted the Eheri Skovoroda Museum, his former home in the middle of the village. And in doing so, Russia was not just calculated and targeted, hitting the museum's building, but it was a direct attack on Ukraine's culture and history, an attempt to destroy its soul, its identity, and the very idea of its existence. And above all, it was an attempt to subdue the fight for freedom. As the sun rose after the destruction of the night, almost nothing was left of the museum. Only one item survived: the statue of the great writer himself. Among the rubble and ashes, there stood the giant Skovoroda, tall and proud, a defiant symbol that Ukraine's freedom will never be diminished, let alone vanquished. That image is a powerful reminder that our inner freedom, both Ukraine's and Europe's, can never be taken away, and they can never be divided. And this is why we must continue to fight for it together, every single day. And you can count on Europe to do just that, my friends. People of Ukraine, you are not only fighting for your own future, but for the security of our entire continent. The courage of your soldiers has helped shift the momentum on the battlefield. Yes, to defend your homeland, but also to protect the values on which Europe was built. Europe has so much to learn from you about the ingenuity of your defense industry, about the speed with which innovation moves from the front line to production, about your ability under the most difficult circumstances to adapt, innovate, and build the capabilities that modern warfare demands. Every day, Ukraine is making Europe stronger. And this is why today I say Ukraine has, in many ways, gone from being a buyer to a net security provider for Europe. And that also entails a new way of working together. And that is why I'm delighted to launch, together with you, Volodymyr, a new EU-Ukraine Defence Industrial Partnership. What we are signing today is our very own drone deal. Over recent months, Ukraine has signed such drone deals with several countries from Europe to the Middle East. This recognizes the interest in Ukraine's battlefield experience, the knowledge you have gained on how to work drone and anti-drone systems is truly unique. From the technology and production of the drones to the supply chains needed to sustain the capacity, or crucially to the knowledge on using radar systems, ground stations or sensors. We must tap into this together, because we know the threats that Europe faces in this area. We have seen incursions and alerts across many member states. Events here and around the world have shown us the importance to our security of being able to deploy battle-proven drone systems at scale and at speed. In Europe, we already have huge technological and industrial capacity that can be deployed, and we have safe and secure production sites that can help to scale up. but we do not have the battle-tested knowledge and expertise that Ukraine has forged. So the point I'm making is that we need to combine our strength. Together we can work on joint production, on making all of the components of the system work, and we can provide both defence industrial bases with the impetus needed to decisively step up investment and production. This deal will bring together Ukrainian ingenuity and Europe's industrial scale. And with this deal, our message is clear. Now is the time to invest in Ukraine, because this means to invest in Europe and to invest in our common security and our common future. People of Ukraine, to my right on the building, I can see the flag of Ukraine next to our European flag. And it evokes so many emotions for me. The European flag, a symbol of hope next to yours, and light during a war of despair and darkness. Across Europe, we see this flag flying proudly in thousands of cities and villages, from Gdansk, just across our border, to Ghent, from Cork to Copenhagen, from Tallinn to Torino. We sometimes forget how miraculous that is, how improbable it would have been to most people only a handful of decades ago. And we sometimes do not talk enough about what that European flag really means to us. Peace, prosperity, liberty, democracy, solidarity, values, a commitment to having each other's back, a feeling of belonging to more than just ourselves, wherever we are from. It is truly unique not only in today's world, but throughout history. The truth is, we may not talk enough about that. We may be too focused on what is in front of us right now. But here, in Ukraine, you have not forgotten. In fact, you are the ones fighting for everything that flag symbolizes, with a spirit that is almost undefinable. I could not find the right word in English or German or French to try to define it. But I have been told there's one in Ukrainian that sums it up perfectly, and that is nezlamnist. A spirit that is unbreakable and indestructible, stoic and unshakable. This is the founding spirit of Europe. And this is the spirit that Ukrainians show every single day in their fight for freedom. So, in accepting this order of Europe, it is not me bringing Europe or this EU flag to Kyiv on this Statehood Day, because Europe is already here, and it always will be. This is our common dream. This is our common destiny, and together we will make it happen. Long live Ukraine and long live Europe. Thank you very much.
You're a great friend.